Well, look up. No more running from the bad guy. I'ma stare him in the eye like, what's up?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another day of my story, my challenge, my story, my strength 365-day challenge. A challenge that I created for myself to show myself basically what I have overcome and what I'm able to heal from, because again, some of the things that you've heard in the past and what you will hear in the future, not a lot of people could actually deal with. And it's me going back into those spaces, even though they are triggering. But I survived those events, and I can survive again, and I can heal and grow. And it's not easy, but it's powerful and it's strong, and it's something that I want to share with you guys so that you guys can find the strength in yourselves to get through your own healing journey. So I'm going to jump in and start letting you guys know about the trigger warning. I'm sorry. This episode contains description of domestic violence, infidelity, coercive control, and exposure of children to inappropriate situations. These topics may be distressing to some viewers. Please proceed with care and ensure that you are in a grounded emotional space before continuing. And if you need to stop, please stop, because again, your safety matters more than anything. So my ex, he wasn't just abusive. He was also very irresponsible. He never really kept a job. He was super duper unfaithful from the moment when he forced me into a relationship with him. He was also in a relationship with someone else. So, there's that. And he was emotionally destructive. Again, he refused to work. And when he did work, he didn't keep a job long at all. He would just, months. Months is the longest that he would keep a job. So he refused to parent, and he constantly sought attention outside of our marriage. And at one point, I stopped caring. I stopped caring. By the time I had my daughter, I was done. I'm like, I don't care what you do. Honestly, if you're cheating, stay gone. Don't come back. Like, why are you even coming around? I wish he would just stay gone. If I was as awful as he, there are the words. If I was so bad to the fact that he had to continuously look for something outside of the marriage, then why do you keep coming back? If I'm so awful as you make me out to be the people, I'm such a horrible wife, such a horrible mom, then why are you constantly coming back? Because I was willing to let you go. So during this memory, we lived in Las Vegas, and I was still deeply involved in the church, praying that something in my life would shift. He had been gone for a few days, and during this time, this was one of the times of my peace. I didn't know where he was, and I didn't care. I did call hospitals and jails to make sure that he wasn't hurt, because I didn't want him to die. I did care about his. I'm a humanist, whatever you want to call it. I care about human life, so I wanted to make sure he wasn't hurt. Then I turned my attention back to my kids, and I'm just enjoying life. But that peace didn't last. A few days later, maybe the next day after, his sister called asking me about a woman that he brought around them, saying that he was their new girlfriend. He went back to California to visit his family, which I didn't know he was going. He was going to do that. I hadn't heard anything. So she was like, well, they're at my mom's house, So I called his mom. I'm like, hey, I'm hearing that he has a girlfriend. I'm just trying to confirm, because I wanted to know what's going to happen next. Are we going to get divorced? How's this going to work? He wouldn't get on the phone. But the girl, she got on the phone. And she confirmed, yes, we're together, we're in love, and all this other stuff. I'm like, congratulations, come get his stuff. I'm calm. Hey, when will you guys be coming to get it? I already have everything packed in the living room closet. But instead of being relieved, he got mad and he hung up in my face. Like, why are you getting mad? And a few days after that, he returns to our home, and he uses the key to let himself in, because he never gives me my key back. I asked him, like, hey, you're going to give me my keys back, And I told him, you're free to leave with your girlfriend, please. No, but he denies everything. That's not my girlfriend. She's just my friend. She gave me a ride to go see my mom. And we're arguing back and forth. And he's still not leaving. The next night, this girl calls our house. His mom gave her my phone number. And she wanted to know when he was coming home. And I told her, I'm like, I'm not stopping him from leaving. He's refusing to go. He takes the phone, he walks off, and I don't know whatever he says to her, but our arguments then turns into a fight. He starts to slap me in my face, and then he tells me to stop trying to force him to leave. And I was exhausted. So one long night after another, I just let it go. I said, okay. She shows up at my house. I tried to get him to leave with her. He wouldn't leave. She understands now that I'm not keeping him from his kids. I'm not telling him he has to stay. So she now knows that he's lying. So I don't know what's going on. They're trying. It was just this weird situation where I told him to go, he wouldn't go, um, and it was just a mess. So one night I hear my daughter. She's crying in the hallway, and I get up to go check on her because sometimes she has nightmares. She wasn't any older than 2, and when I look at her, I see she's looking in the living room and she's crying, looking visibly upset. She's crying, asking, talking, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? And when I get up, I look down the hall and I see him with this same woman on the couch. And they're being physically intimate. I mean, he's going down on her. He's performing oral sex on her. He has his erect out. He has his erect penis out, stroke, and she's crying loudly. Now, the way our house was set up, my room was all the way at the end of this giant 4-bedroom, huge house. So if I heard her crying and she's all the way in the hallway, close to, like, literally in the living room, I know they heard her. So I could quickly I get my daughter, I put her in the room with her brother. I'm trying to calm her down. And then the lady comes and then I go back in the living room and I turn the light on. And they look at me like they're shocked. And she starts apologizing. And she's saying, no, he told her that it was okay to come over. She was emotional and said that she didn't mean to hurt me. I'm like, you didn't hurt me. This humiliation was not overwhelming to me. This wasn't what I was angry about. And I didn't yell. I didn't fight. I was numb. I'm just like, you guys act like you didn't see my daughter standing right here. She's 2. She's a baby. He didn't apologize. He's trying to persuade me to let him be with her and me, like for us to be an us couple. And she was willing, and I wasn't. I said, take him home with you. Take him home with you. But she didn't. She wouldn't leave. That night reminded, and it was getting, he wouldn't leave. I'm sorry. She did eventually leave, but he wouldn't leave. And it just, that night reminded me of how deeply trapped I felt emotionally, mentally, spiritually. I didn't feel safe in my own home, and I didn't feel human. Like that, you think that low of me? Are you willing to do this in front of our daughter? This was the same woman that I talked about in the previous challenge when she called me on the phone and heard him cussing me out, and because she tried to connect me with someone who I could have actually been in a serious situation with, who would have brought peace in my life, even though I wasn't even looking for a relationship. I just wanted him gone. But she was the same woman that was on the phone with me the night that I went to jail because I threw the phone at him, and this woman was causing a little bit of problems in the home. So if you go back a couple of episodes, you'll hear a story about this woman. But all I wanted was peace, and he stole even that from me. So to identify the wound, that night broke me in a way that I didn't know was possible. It wasn't betrayal. It was a complete erasure of my dignity because my daughter was standing right there, and I couldn't keep him safe. I did not feel like a wife or a woman. I felt like just an object, his convenience, only to return and be violated all over again. And I didn't want him to be gone. I questioned if I failed my children. Had I let this become normal? And I blame myself for the environment that she was exposed to, even though I was fighting every day just to survive and get him out. And the worst part was the confusion. Was I being punished for finally wanting peace? He made me feel like I had no right to peace, no right to boundaries, no right to protect my space. It planted this deep-rooted belief in me that maybe I didn't matter, and honestly, he didn't care about his kids. That no matter how loud I cried, no matter how much I tried to reclaim my life, no one would hear me. He would not leave, and I was just invisible. So, reflection question. Have you ever been disrespected so deeply that you started to question your own worth? And what did it make you believe about your value? And have you ever been able to let that belief go? So let's look at a negative mindset. I felt like not only did I not matter, but my child did not matter. And if I did, I wouldn't have been treated like this, or my daughter, especially in my own home. But the way I had to reframe that was like that thought, it came from survival, from a space of being denied protection. But it wasn't that. It was their inability to honor me. That was their inability to honor my home, to honor my children. And that was not a measurement of who I was. It's a reflection of who they are. And I'm not defined by what I endured. I'm defined by the strength it took to survive it gracefully because I did want to fight this woman. I really did. But I knew that it wouldn't have amounted to anywhere, and I would have been the one in the jail. And the disrespect I received only confirmed the self-respect that I needed to claim within myself. And the affirmation that I have, excuse me, for that is I am the guardian of my peace. My worth is not up for debate. I choose freedom, not permission. So now we're going to the mini session and dealing with it. And I'm going to show you guys one of my coping tools. And this is a grounding. This tool is called grounding through auditory anchoring, and it's neuro linguistic program. It's inspired by neuro linguistic programming. Oh my lord. Okay, NLP. This technique helps restrain your nervous system to feel helps to retrain your nervous system to feel grounded using your own voice in the environment. So I need you to choose a power phrase. Something like I'm safe in my own body. I am worthy of peace. I am beautiful. I am strong. I am whatever your strong or your power phrase is, pick it. Then record yourself saying that phrase calmly, confidently, and, and firmly 5 times. Put a calm firm 5 times. Record yourself saying that phrase 5 times. My example is I'm safe in my own body. I'm safe in my own body. Repeat that 5 times. Play the recording on a loop for 1 minute while focusing on a neutral or comforting sound in your background, like a clock, a fan, birds outside. Again, if you need to play a YouTube sound like thunder, rain, something, but you need to focus on you saying this power phrase while also listening to that sound in your environment. Let your brain connect your voice with safety and your external sound with present time and reality. This rewires your trauma responses so that when you're triggered, your own voice becomes your safety anchor. So again, this is something that you're going to have to do more than once for it to kind of stick. So just that's a tool that I use to this day. Now the 1 minute empowerment challenge. And this is a no entry declaration. So find a private safe space and then say aloud the names or the roles of 3 people or situations that have crossed your emotional boundaries. Now say proudly and firmly, you no longer have permission to enter my space. Then say it again louder and then louder, more rooted. And say it until your voice feels like it's true. You set the rules now. They don't get to walk back in. You set the rules now. Survivor spotlight time. You guys ready? So I'm going to speak about a woman who has a similar story to someone that we all know and love. So before the name Rosa Parks became a national symbol of civil disobedience, a 15-year-old black girl named Claudette Colvin made the same historic stand, but her name was buried. Her pain was ignored, and her story nearly lost to history. So Claudette Colvin, we will not remember that name, born in 1939 in Montgomery, Alabama, Claudette grew up in the thick of segregation and racial terror. As a child, she watched her community suffer silently under the weight of Jim Crow laws, knowing her in her spirit that the injustice around her was wrong. She was intelligent, outspoken, and passionate about justice from a young age, deeply influenced by the teachings of Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth. On March 2nd, 1955, Claudette refused to give up her seat on the segregated bus. 9 months before Rosa Parks would have the same situation. So this was 9 months before Rosa Parks. Police dragged her off the bus, arrested her, and threw her into an adult jail cell where she was held without basic dignity. She was terrified and humiliated, but she never backed down. Initially, civil rights leaders considered using Claudette's arrest to challenge segregation in court. But when it was discovered that she had become pregnant shortly after the incident, she was abandoned by the very movement that she helped ignite. They feared her status as a young, unwed black mother would taint the case. So they left her behind, discarded and erased, a teenage girl who had put her body on the line only to be silenced by the adults who promised to fight for justice. Claudette lived for decades in the shadows of her own legacy. She was forced to carry the pain of being forgotten, the emotional trauma of invisibility. She dropped out of college, struggled to find steady work, and eventually moved to New York City, where she lived a quiet life raising her children and watching the civil rights movement unfold without her name attached. It wasn't until over 60 years later that Claudette's contributions began receiving proper recognition. Her courageous act finally earned her the respect she had always deserved. She was included in documentaries honored by the state of Alabama, and her arrest was reported, and her arrest record was expunged in 2021, nearly 70 years after her arrest. But Claudette's survival wasn't just physical; it was emotional, spiritual, and historical. She survived abandonment by both society and her own community. She endured the sting of being erased while others stood on the foundation that she laid. And yet she never gave up believing in the truth of what she did that day on the bus. Claudette Colvin is not just a pioneer. She is a survivor of invisibility. She survived a world that told her she was too young, too dark, too complicated to be the face of the movement. She survived being silenced, erased, and left out of the very revolution she helped spark. She survived the emotional abandonment of a community that should have protected her. And still, she never stopped knowing her worth. Claudette's story is a mirror for every Black girl who has been told to wait her turn, to shrink, to disappear, and to stay silent. Her existence is a testament to the power of memory, truth, and reclamation. She didn't need permission to be historic. She already was. So to Miss Claudette Colvin, thank you so much for being brave, for being brave when no one was watching you. Thank you for surviving the pain of being forgotten and for continuing to live with grace, dignity, and unwavering pride. You paved the road while others were handed the credit. You stood when you had every reason to fall. And even in silence, you made history scream. We see you, we remember you, and we honor you. Thank you. So if today's truth cracked something open in you, good. That crack is where the healing starts. And if you resonated with you, please subscribe to Empowered Voices Finding Strength and Survivors for daily healing challenges like this, or to hear my podcast, Insights of a Survivor, every Friday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, where you'll hear the stories of mine or other survivors who share the impact that their stories, their lives, and their trauma has had on them and their part in this healing journey. Also, watch my collab podcast with my co-host, All Love, every last Saturday, which will be this Saturday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, titled Real and Raw. And let's not forget Kiss Corner with Coach Kiss every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with my sister, Coach Kiss, who speaks about her daily challenges with healing and the tools that she uses to overcome. She shares that journey in real time with her audience and mine alike. So don't forget to grab A Place to Belong. It's a gripping story about a young girl who had to fight through the unthinkable pain of her and to find her place in the world that tried to destroy her. And it's by Pari Jasper. You can find that on Amazon now. Do you want to support this mission? Would you like to help a voice lose their I'm sorry, I hate this part, but it needs to be said. If you want to support the mission and help someone find a voice that was once silenced, your donations or your sponsorship help survivors like myself, All Love, and Coach Kiss continue to speak truth and pour into broken communities. Your contribution isn't just support, it's a spark for someone else's healing, a spark for a story waiting to be told. So you can find my links in the description. It's either links separately, or you can go to my website, www.soulfulresiliencejourney.online, and you can find the ways to donate there. But the fastest way is to go through the links that are listed in the details below, in the description below. So click, support, and help us build a world where healing is heard. Because your story does not end in pain; it begins in power. I will see you all tomorrow for another powerful story. I love you all. Stay strong.
Heard you looking for a hero. Well, look up. No more running from the bad guy. I'ma stare him in the eye like, what's up? I know the journey got hard for a minute, but I ain't giving this up. Yeah, I got the heart of a champion. If I get knocked down, I get